Today, we're answering the question we ask every month. Should you read this or should it continue to collect dust on your TBR?
This month's pick is Daggermouth by H.M. Wolfe, a dystopian romance that drops you into a brutal political system where power is enforced, trust is dangerous, and survival often depends on how well you can disappear.
And this isn't just a dystopian for vibes. This book leans hard into themes of oppression, control, and most importantly, feminine rage. Not the romanticized kind either, but the kind that comes from surviving in a system designed to break us.
So today we're breaking down what worked, what didn't, and whether this is a book we'd recommend or one you absolutely need to mood match before picking up.
Let's start with a spoiler-free rundown of what we're walking into.
Okay, so literally from page 1, you are thrown into the action, and the action is occurring in a place called Newfound Haven. And at the center of Newfound Haven is called the Heart.
The Heart.
The Heart. The heart of the city is called the Heart. Outside of the city of the Heart, and where in the Heart is where all of the elites live, where the politicians live. Basically, anyone with any semblance of power or money resides in the Heart. And that also includes the president of Newfound Haven. His name is Maximus, and his family reside there. He has a son named Grayson, a daughter named Lyra, and a wife named Alara. So this family rules over the entirety of Newfound Haven, which also includes these outer rings. And as you go into different rings within the city, essentially the poverty, the oppression, all of the things continue to get worse and worse and worse, where folks are like scraping by. They like have literal just cans for food, and that's it. They have like rations for everything. Their like finances work completely differently. Like they're basically just puppets for the people in the Heart.
It was
And
giving
so-
very much like the Hunger Games districts.
So in one of these outer rings resides our female main character, Shadera, and she is part of a group of mercenaries that are called Daggermouths. And essentially these mercenaries are assassins for hire. And they're typically hired to go kill people for rich people who like clearly got in some bad way and then just like don't want to pay their way out of it. But also they get typically hired for like big jobs to take big people out.
Shadera gets pulled into the drama of the Heart because there's a hit out on the Cyril family, this royal family, on their eldest son, the executioner, Grayson Cyril. So she is attempting to infiltrate the Heart to complete her mission of her of being a Daggermouth. But once she gets there, things do not go as planned. There's some twists. There are some identities that she didn't expect. There are some relationships she thought was going to go one way and they go another. And there are a lot of secrets to be uncovered.
That is right. And by the end, you are truly left questioning everyone's motives, everyone's intentions, who's good, who's not, who's working for who, all of the things. So
yes.
All in all, this dystopian packed a massive punch. But I think my favorite part about it was that it was an incredibly unique story that tied in themes that, like I said, were present in the Hunger Games, have been present in other very famous dystopian works, but in just a very, very relatable way to at least me as a reader today. So I loved it.
I never expect also the tone to be so dark and moody and brutal. Like I was shocked from the beginning, which I think is part of the thing that like draws you in. It says dark dystopian romance, but I don't think you realize how brutal this society is. And I think that's part of the thing that makes this stand out is that the author does not shy away from what oppression looks like.
Yes, absolutely. She goes into it head first and does such a great job at crafting it in. And I also I think I was taken with this too because I read Silver Elite last year, unfortunately. And as we all know, that book was like lauded as the next big dystopian, the dystopian romance of the year, whatever. And it was just like a complete letdown. And so I think I was almost going into this expecting similar vibes to that. And I could not have been more wrong.
I also think that you have to be in the right mindset for this book because, like we've said, it is very dark and it does hit a little too close to home right now.
It does. Let's get into all of that now that everyone kind of knows the emotional terrain that we're treading on in this book. Okay, so the thing that I was taken of or by from page one was that she just jumps straight into the action, but her storytelling to me was so unique where I felt like it was just something that drew me in. Like I truly felt like I was like I think our friend said this, but like sitting around a campfire, like listening to this like cautionary tale of this land
Yeah.
far, far away. And I was just locked in from right from there.
I felt similarly, except I felt like I was like watching an action movie, like a suspense
Mm,
crime thriller where I'm like, my heart was racing from the beginning and I don't think
yeah.
it stopped until the end. Like, it was
Yes.
very cinematic in my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There was also multiple parts where, because this book follows multiple POVs, it's not just the main character or even both the main characters. It follows almost all of the like bigger characters.
Mhm.
And I felt like she did such a great job where it felt like you remember in Kingdom of Ash with Throne of Glass, where like you're literally getting everyone's POV from like their point that they're at
Yeah.
in the war. And you're like, when are they going to come together? Like, when is
Yes.
the plotting going to end? When will this happen? I felt like that for so much of the book where I was like, "Oh my god, everyone's doing their own little side quests. No one actually knows what's going on,
Who's
but they
talking to
all."
who?
Oh, so yeah, I agree. It felt cinematic in that way where it's just like you're following all of these like action points and like tension points and you're just waiting for them to bubble up to like the big moment at the end.
Yeah, and to your point, those different POVs keep the pacing going quick.
Yeah.
And you're so desperate to know how they're all interconnected that you literally can't put this book down.
Yeah.
I think I texted you upwards of like 17 times while reading the book that I was sure I knew who the bad guy was and who the good guy was. And I literally wasn't right at all.
I just like wasn't responding because I can't.
Like,
But I
things change on a dime in this book.
Yes, 100%. And you could cut the tension with a literal, like, just little
Mm-hmm.
pin. And I actually really appreciated how she wrote it because I don't feel like she sacrificed any sort of character development or like world building to be able to get that through. Whereas
No.
sometimes I feel like when you have these like really action packed stories and there's a bunch of characters doing a bunch of shit, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But truly, I felt like I was following it the entire time. I just was like at the edge of my seat trying to figure out what was about to happen.
Yes, the edge of your seat thing is so accurate, and then, like, the adrenaline you feel while reading
Yes.
this, like, it
Yeah.
definitely is one of those books that keeps you up till, like, 2 a.m. in the morning because your
Yeah.
heart is beating so fast and your adrenaline is so high, there's no shot you're going to sleep.
Zero shot. I think I lost a lot of sleep reading
So did
this book.
I.
I also felt like I had to like pace around my room and in my house when I was reading it too, because I was just getting so angry and so worked up at the politics and the
Mhm.
abuse of power and the abuse of people and the like taking over of vulnerable people. Like it was just something that it's your earlier point, like that she didn't shy away from so
Yeah.
beautifully, but I also just was like white knuckling my book for 95% of the time.
100%, and that's why part of the reason this book is so, like, crazy on Book Talk right now is because they're saying that the dictatorship and the power and the system that's outlined in this book feels so, like, parallel to what's happening in our own world right now, and
Yeah.
I would love to get into that because I think it
Yes.
deserves its own discussion.
I completely agree. I think it's been, and I think what this does in a really interesting way is just like the overt kind of showing of like how fear and how crazy things that happen just become normalized because we're
Yeah.
just inundated with it on a consistent basis. And so while this didn't have like social media showcasing everything that was happening, like, people were just, like, constantly faced with this oppression first, like, head on. And so I thought that that was really interesting too, because I feel like that every day where I'm like, "Is this thing that I'm reading for real? Am I
Yeah.
seeing this for real? Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Oh,
And
but
it
I have
feels
to
like
just go to work."
yes, and it feels like we're slowly getting used to it, and people
Yeah,
are starting to be like, "This is the new normal." Think that one of the things that this book has that's similar to what's going on in our own country right now is that the people are so afraid, like you said, and
yeah,
they're like in survival mode that that's what's helping them turn against each other
yep,
and believe what this dictator is saying
yeah.
because of that fear tactic.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that there's a quick pipeline from that fear to just true dehumanization of
Mhm.
people that you might have seen as a human being before all of this stuff happened. And I thought that that was really interesting too, to like see how these systems can slowly strip that away from people and
Yeah.
strip away their own self identity, their own individuality, all of these things where it's like, we just see you as a part of one mass essentially, or like one
Yeah.
clean group, depending on how the government defines you. And that's it. And we're so willing to go along with that, to your point, because we have just been sitting in our fear for however long. And like, we don't
Mhm.
want to be a part of any level of punishment for speaking out or whatever
Yep.
that becomes, that you do end up just turning into a like foot soldier to a certain
Yep.
degree. And it's like, well, who am I? What original actual fucking thought do I have? And if I
Right.
had one, would I truly agree with what's going on or not?
Right, exactly. And to quote Bad Bunny,
Love.
the
Quote him. Quote my baby.
they're not animals, they're human. Like
Correct.
literally, they in this book and in society, they convince people that these outer rings, these ostracized groups are like less than animals. Like they
Yeah.
prioritize literally their dogs more than these human beings,
Yeah.
and we are all human beings.
Yeah. Well, even I thought it was brilliant what she did was the use of the masks and the elite, because
Mhm.
it showed that even that level of society was not able to actually escape oppression. Like,
Yeah.
there were so many themes of how women were treated, for example, and how easy it was to hide how they were being oppressed because they were wearing these masks. And so it's like you don't even know. They might be dealing with domestic violence at home, and
Yeah.
you would have literally no idea because they're just covered up. And so I thought that that was really, really interesting, like how she played that in, because it just goes to show that no one is safe from this. And
Mhm.
even though that there are people that are, higher participating, or people that are benefiting from these systems, whether knowingly or unknowingly, like, you can escape this and it
Yeah.
will at some point affect you.
It's okay to say that your opinions were once wrong and now you understand and you want the world to be different.
Exactly. It is more than
Exactly.
okay. In fact, we should all be saying that.
Yes. Speaking of feminine rage, the
Mm,
women in this book, like you said, are all kind of under a thumb of men, which we hate,
yes.
except for
Yes.
our girl Shadera. And she is a female Daggermouth. And actually, out in these like outer rings, there's a lot of female, like, what I'm using quotes, military leaders. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
you would call them.
Yeah.
But there are like rebel leaders that are female, and I loved how much power all of the female characters had in this book. And in the book, Shadira is like somebody that owns that and knows that and has a lot
Mm.
of confidence in that. And she really inspired me. Like, I think that she is probably going to be one of the top FMCs I read in 2026.
I totally agree. She might be one of my new favorites of all time. I
I
love
know.
her so much.
It's hard to say she would beat Aelin as, like, a top FMC of all time, but
Ooh.
honestly, very similar energy.
Very, very.
Yeah.
Where she, I thought, was just so beautifully complicated and flawed. It's like you weren't looking at her as this just like beacon of perfection and hope and
No.
whatever. Like, I really loved how she struggled with her own kind of identity within this power dynamic. Like, I think for her, she almost had this like selfish element to her where she was like, I don't want to be this like rebel leader. I don't want to be this like face of a rebellion. I just want to be myself. And I just want to like do these things for my own motivations and then go home and have that be it. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciated how she was written because I do feel like a lot of the struggles that she went through felt very realistic and felt very relatable. I
Yep.
also loved that she was 30. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
God. I
She
can watch
was
this woman be at peak physical ability at 30, and that's amazing.
she was 30 and then the MMC was 33, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was like, I have been waiting for an adult romance. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how burnt out I was on like an 18-year-old that like barely
Right.
knows what maturity is, being the
Right.
FMC that we're supposed to relate to. Like,
Right.
I loved that they were a little bit older.
If I'm not reading about an academy setting or a young adult book, why am I reading about people that are 18?
So true, the academy
Genuinely,
setting.
why?
I
Give me
agree.
one other example outside of that of why I would need to be reading about teenagers. Like, actually.
I 100% agree. And so I loved that. She was also a person of color, which I appreciated. So at least
Yes,
that's what I saw her as. Can we
she
confirm?
is. Yes, no, she
Yeah.
is. She was described multiple times as having dark skin. And she has like
Yeah.
copper hair and it was curly.
Yeah.
Which I loved because if you remember, I had a time where I dyed my hair red. So
Yeah. So you're one step away from being her, honestly,
I
of
might as
reading
well go
of
back.
le- yeah.
I'm only 32. I'm not far off.
But there
But
were
no, I did. I loved that. And I feel like personally, I get so few lead characters like that I can like really sink my teeth into. And I really love that
Mhm.
much. So I deeply appreciated that.
And she was not the only woman that got a highlight in this book. Like you mentioned
Yeah.
previously, there was like a lot of different POVs in this
Yeah.
story. And it included a lot of female POVs from inside the heart, inside the royal family, from outside the
Mm,
rings.
yeah.
And I just like love that we didn't just get like that one powerhouse FMC that like
Agreed.
everybody's idolizing. Like there was a lot of women to idolize in this book.
I agree. And
We
I think
deserve more than one.
we deserve more than one. We deserve all these beautiful, amazing women. But I think the thing that I loved of how she wrote these women too is like you mentioned earlier, we have this like very strong feminine rage that's just like coursing through
Mhm.
everyone. But you know how sometimes it can get taken too far where it's like, okay, you're just like intentionally being like angry and stubborn and
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
this did not feel like that. Like it felt like they genuinely were harnessing it in a way where I was like, no, this makes total sense, but you're not just choosing to be angry 24/7. Like you're finding moments of comedic relief and levity. You're finding moments to like cry and be sad. You're finding these
Yeah.
moments to be truly vulnerable and open. Like, so I loved how well rounded she made that because the author made that because I think a lot of times that's hard to balance.
Yeah, that's so true. She did cry a lot in this book, actually. All of the
Yeah.
women did. But then at the same time, they were so strong and they like got it out and they wiped their tears and they were like, I still have a mission to complete. And
These
don't
women,
we all?
don't we all? These women were just so inspiring. Like, truly, I feel like I shut this book and I was like, I'm so proud to be a woman. And I think she wrote that really beautifully too of like, we're not the ones that are just about these massive, grand actions and gestures and whatever. And we do really have to kind of like endure things for a long time and really strategically think about things for a long
Yeah.
time. But that doesn't take away from our power and our ability to enact change and all of that stuff. So
Yep.
I was very invigorated reading about these women.
Same. It's one of those books that you get the same feeling that you got when you were reading about like the Valkyries or the 13. You're like, I think I
Yeah.
need to hit the gym tomorrow and also learn how to brandish a weapon.
But then also know how to like speak in a boardroom.
Yeah. Why do we have to do so much?
I
But
don't
also
know.
have nice curves and know how to
Right.
use our sexual desire.
Oh, God.
Damn, we have a lot
Oh,
riding on our backs.
we got a lot. We got a lot.
But we do have to give like 1 minute to the men of the
Yeah,
story
I was just
because they
gonna
were
say that.
present.
Yeah, no, I think that she wrote the men so well. I found myself being in love with literally every single man in this book
Yes.
other than the president.
Yes. I was requesting threesomes multiple times
Yeah.
throughout this story.
Yeah. Which also I love that you didn't love the main man.
The main character. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was really well written, but you know my type. Like he was kind of like, sad boy, but like had to show strength, but was like hiding all of his emotions inside. And
Yeah.
I really like the more like brutal men that are like, I'm gonna fight for my woman. She's all that matters. But like when I get to her, I'm also a puppy dog, like lapping at her
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah, I mean, turns out I apparently love both because
Yeah.
truly could not give you a number one between the three main men that we were following the entire time. It was
Which
was amazing.
the main character is Grayson, and him
Yes.
and Shadera are labeled as a true enemies to lovers. That's not a
Yes.
spoiler. And
Yes.
I, going in, was like, I don't believe that they're actually going to be enemies. Did you?
Yes.
I was like, everybody always says that, but it lasts like, the first 5 chapters, and then all of a
That's
sudden
fair.
they're like in love,
You mean you felt like the internet was overblowing it potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's totally fair. I think that I had seen enough people that I trust be like, no, guys, this is like true enemies to lovers. Like, this is real enemies to lovers. And I was like, okay. But
Like,
also, you know me, and I don't mind to like watered down enemies to lovers. So I was like, okay, whatever.
they actually, guys, they like shoot each other multiple times.
They're actually enemies. They are
So
genuinely
I
enemies.
was shocked by that. But then also you learn that the system has kind of put them in these positions that they have to be enemies. And there is a
Yeah.
lot of like emotional growth that happens.
Yeah.
And the man is, from the beginning, Grayson has a lot of depth to his emotion, which
Yeah.
was nice to read as well.
I also really loved that I think a lot of times in that scenario, it's like the person in power or that has more power is typically like empathizing with the other person more.
Yeah.
But I really liked that Shadira was forced to kind of open her eyes too and be like, no, the heir to this throne isn't just like this privileged little baby. Like
Yeah.
he has had unbelievable strife that he's dealt with. Like, even though he might be contributing to what's going on in his own way, like it's because he has to. Like he's in a prison of his own. And so I really loved that aspect of it too, because I felt like it just became very well rounded of like, no,
Yeah.
you can't just assume that people, just because of what you see on the outside, are people that are participants like actively in these kinds of things.
Us women were so understanding. Like, a man could never.
Could never. Even though Grayson literally is so understanding.
He is, but, like, if it was vice versa, like, I don't know if he would be able to put her, like, her power aside and
Mm,
understand her. I don't know. But
that's fair.
another trope that was going on was this kind of childhood lovers love triangle. And
Yeah.
that's another main character in the book, Jameson. And he
Yep.
was a rebel leader that was Shadira's childhood friend. And they also have a relationship. And I loved him too.
I loved him. I truly, from the beginning, I was like, oh God, like, are we going to end up in the Dane situation where this just gets
Yeah.
weird and you end up hating him? And I never ended up hating him. Like, from the
Yeah.
last page, I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah. And
Jameson's my guy.
the book does end on a cliffhanger, and
Yeah.
so you don't know what's happening to all of these characters at the end, but even
Yeah.
at the end, when I think you were probably supposed to have a little closure about where relationships ended, I was still like, I feel good about Jameson still.
Yeah. Literally.
I still
This
feel good
guy's
about him.
He's a great guy.
She could end up with anybody.
Then it would be fine. I
Yeah.
totally agree. I do think that I was leaning way more Shadira Grayson because I feel like they had a lot of similarity in the way that they like felt and showed pain, and like
Yeah.
I think a lot of the ways that they like emotionally processed things and what there's just a lot more that I feel like they related on versus like Jameson and Shadera had their like past and they were just like
Yeah.
best friends. But I agree. I was like, this is a true love triangle to me where I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yes,
who?
again, true. Yeah, like love triangles, sometimes when they're like given as a trope for a book, you're like, okay,
Yeah,
they like kissed once when they were kids and now we're calling it a love triangle. No,
right.
like you're confused about who she slept with when, kind of.
Yeah. And like if you want her to continue to do so.
And if you just want it to really be a love triangle and they just all stay together.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was rooting for by the end.
We also get what I am claiming is almost like another Cassian. So we have
Oh
a
yeah.
side character, a man named Callum, and he was filling the Cassian size hole in my heart.
Emily was in love with him. I too
Oh,
was in love with him, but like I felt like you were extra just locked in on him.
I literally wish he was real in real life and I would flee my home for him.
I do feel like the Cassian vibe that he had was like kind of his swag, you
Yeah,
know, like where like externally he was very carefree, takes care of everyone, whatever, very put together. But then on the side, it's like he's just very deeply emotional, empathetic, all of the
yeah.
things, and like just a caretaker. And I feel like you love that.
Yeah, I love when it's like a bad boy on the outside, but then when he's alone in a room with the girl he loves, he's like such a simp and a
He's a
slave
little
to her.
simp. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God. H.M. Wolfe knows how to write some characters. Let me tell
She really does. I am so impressed. Is this a debut novel?
No, she has 2 or 3 other books, I want to say. But I think
Oh
this
my
is her
gosh.
first dystopian novel.
Okay, I need to get into the other ones because, yeah, this writing, amazing. Character development, amazing. World
Yeah.
building, I was lost. Not lost in a
Ugh,
bad way. I was literally lost in the world.
I wanted to be lost. I'm like, don't find me. I'm going to be here. One other theme I really loved, I know that we were really channeling our feminine rage earlier, but
Yeah.
the whole book, there's this theme that underscores it, which our friend Bad Bunny also has said, is
Our
love.
friend Bad Bunny.
Our close personal friend Bad Bunny, Benito.
Catch catch us on the sidelines at the Super Bowl.
I mean, if I'm not at the Benito Bowl,
What did
it's
he
this
say? What
Sunday,
did he
but
teach us?
whatever. He taught us that love is also rebellion. In fact, it is the rebellion. Like when
Yeah,
you can put aside all of the things that the government is shoving down your throat for why you should be pointing fingers at the other person, why you should be hating this other person, why you should be whatever, and see them for the human beings, neighbors, brothers, sisters that they are, and just love them for that. Like that in and of itself is the purest and biggest form of
yes,
rebellion that we could possibly tap into. And I think that this book really, really hit on that in such a great way, where
yeah,
I think they all realize by the end, it's like, oh, we've been operating on our own little separate side quests or whatever. And the second that we actually come together, we are 4 trillion times more powerful.
100%. It's time to band together, protect thy neighbor. Okay, should we do a final rating of the book?
Yes. Let's start with recommendability.
5.
5. Hi.
Spice, 5. Hangover, 5. Book club potential, 5. Rating, 5.
Spoiler. Turns out that rating was way easier than we thought.
No, but seriously, I have literally recommended this to my mom, a
Yep.
coworker, a
Yep.
friend, a book club. Like, this is very easy to recommend across
I
all
totally
groups.
agree. I
Yeah,
totally agree because I think I have friends who are like romanticy yuck, and I do think that you could read this book if you're one of those people and still really enjoy it.
100%.
Because again, there's so much in there that should speak to so many people, and if it doesn't, then I feel like that's a question you should be asking yourself and not judging the book on, honestly.
And to your point, like, I think that sometimes the target audience is females, but I also think
Yeah,
men would enjoy this book. Like, I think
I
that
agree.
if my fiance had ever read a written word in his life, he would enjoy this book. I do. Like, if
I
I could
totally agree.
read this aloud to him chapter by
Yeah.
chapter before bed, he would enjoy this book.
I think you would too. Okay, spice. This one was spicy.
It was very spicy, but I actually, even though I was joking around with all the fives, I think that I would give this like a 3.5 because the spicy scenes were really spicy, but there wasn't as many as you would expect.
I was gonna give it a 3 for that reason too, and we don't even get like a full sexual encounter with the two MCs,
I know.
with Shadera and Grayson, which I
Yeah.
loved.
The
I was like,
sexual
oh,
tension, though,
yeah,
is high. So that's
that's
why,
right.
yeah, 3.5. Like, the
Yeah,
moments are spicy, but it's not the main focus of the book.
yeah, I totally agree. My book hangover was very strong after I read this. I had to immediately start another book because I was like,
Yeah.
if I don't, I'm so fucked.
I had to immediately jump into, like, a comfort read, a comfort genre to make sure I didn't go into a reading slump because it would be so easy to go into a reading slump after this book,
Yeah,
especially since the sequel's not out yet.
yeah, but it is coming out this year.
Woohoo!
I
We
know,
can't
I'm
wait.
ready.
Me too.
Book club potential. I actually think this would be a great book club book.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, especially because I think there could be a lot of discussions about like the
Yeah,
parallels to what's happening in
yeah,
our current political system.
I totally agree. And I think just all of the different characters getting an insight into their thoughts, their feelings, their dynamics too. Like there's just so much to talk about, clearly, as we can't
Absolutely.
shut up.
I know.
Um okay, final rating. Mine's a 5.
Mine's a 5. Surprise,
No
surprise.
shock.
Isn't it kind of crazy though, Cass? We've had like 2 5-star books already and it's
I
just
know.
January.
I know. We're walking in the light. I was joking yesterday that I think someone evil-eyed me because I wasn't able to get Harry Styles tickets. But I don't know about that with reading because I think we're
Yeah.
really getting some slam dunks. I
And
mean,
you never know. Those tickets could still come back to you.
true, true. But between this and The Everlasting, like those two stories are so unique and had so much depth and were so beautifully written. I was like, wow, I can't believe that we got those in the same month.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it just shows that we're very good at our jobs.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my God.
Everybody should really take our recommendations.
Everyone should take our recommendations as Bible at this point.
Yeah. But
okay,
let's asterisk that. Yeah, let's asterisk
Okay.
that with who shouldn't read this.
Okay, I think that who shouldn't. I don't know. Not going to be good at this. You're going to be better at this
Yeah.
because I think that you feel this more.
Yeah.
But I think probably people who like want happy escapism would
Yeah.
struggle with this.
Yeah.
I think if you are in a headspace where you're like, I can't handle that right now, maybe I'm too overwhelmed by what's going on,
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
then maybe hold off, but you should read it eventually.
I agree. You should read it eventually, but your point exactly. Like that you're not going to get your happy ever after. You're not going to get like there's a lot of really dark scenes that make you really disgusted and sick
Yeah.
to your stomach. And you need to be in the right mood.
Yeah, but also get angry somehow.
Yeah.
Who should read this though? I feel like there's a lot of people that should read this.
Yeah. Literally anybody.
Literally
If you want,
anyone else.
I said you want the nostalgia, that feeling of reading The Hunger Games, that emotional connection to characters. If you're looking to get lost in a world where like there's so much intrigue, adrenaline, different like characters, this is a great read.
Yeah, I do think if you loved The Hunger Games and you literally want like an adult dystopian that does dystopian really well, it's like this is just such a good one to pick up.
But also if you like those Jason Bourne type movies
True.
or like
Even
those
in
ones,
Ocean's 11.
yeah, like something
Like a
where there's like
heist.
an ensemble cast that's all coming
Yeah.
together to like complete a mission, you would also like this book.
Yeah, I totally agree. So basically everyone, because if you don't like
Yeah.
that stuff, I would be shocked.
Everyone, the caveat is the mood. Like you just have to be in the mood.
Agreed. And for all of my black and brown girlies out there who don't have a lot of FMCs to get to picture themselves as,
Yep.
Shadera's a great one. So
Shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah, so if you want to be sitting there actually putting yourself in the story, read this book because it's fun.
I had to relate to the white woman in the book who at first glance seems a little weak, which adds up.
But then she ends up being unbelievably powerful.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
this one's for the brown girls.
We'll take it. We'll take this one. All right. Well, I think that closes out our should you read this? Clearly, it's a resounding yes for all of the peoples.
Yeah.
Next week, we're switching it up a little bit. We're still in our romance mood, but we're talking sports romance.
Oh, sports! I'm so pumped up for the Olympics. I've never liked
the
sports
Olympics,
more.
the Benito Bowl, everything else we're hyped about. Okay?
I didn't even watch my alma mater win the national championship for college sports, and I am screaming sports at the top of my lungs right now, so I'm pumped.
We will specifically be talking about sports romance through the lens of my favorite heated rivalry, which we haven't dedicated an episode to, so it's time. We will be talking about the long game. We'll be talking about what we think about the show versus the book, what our predictions are for the next few seasons. And we're also going to talk about why we're all so addicted to sports romance these days.
Yes, we need to discuss. So if you loved this episode and you want to hear more, or you have a suggestion for our next Should You Read This popular book, drop a comment, give a like, subscribe to our YouTube, because we would love to keep doing this.
Oh yeah. And we'll see you same time, same place. Grab your blankets, grab your book, boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya.